So we didn't write, well, I didn't write any slides. I was too engaged in trying to control the discussion. So I'll just go through what I think our sort of pseudo conclusions were. We had as many questions as we had conclusions, and then some things which are actions and things for the future. Not clear that we can do them though. One of the challenges, many of these things have already been touched on. So one of the issues, of course, is that software, we're talking about research communities. They're funded by research councils and similar. Software is not a headline issue for the research council, or more particularly the research council communities, the ones that are actually doing the research or leading the research or sitting on the peer review committees. So again, how do we actually show that software advances science, and what qualitative information can we have on that? That was already mentioned. Getting developers embedded in projects is essential. So by projects there we mean in the research and the science projects, not just the software development projects. So the key there, the meta question there is, which is an action for us I guess, is how do we convince the researchers to include software development as a core activity in these leading research activities, especially, and it goes back to measuring the value. One thing, clear thing for the future is encouraging that PhD students in particular are taught software engineering, or even any engineering principles. So the idea there that you have version control and all of the things that you might consider as software engineering 101, so that at least they understand the value of it. And then there was a discussion that we generally felt, I think, and agreed that developers, on the whole, as developers need to be more entrepreneurial and look at what we do as leading to things which will have a life of their own in the future, which is beyond the individual research project, beyond independent of ongoing research funding. So products and dollars, potentially. So open source projects that sustain themselves, or products that you can sell, which might sustain your continuing development or might become independent children on their own. So there's interesting questions there about in what ways are commercial software development activities different from academic ones. We've already touched on this as well, that is software engineering really a core business for universities, and are they a natural home for software engineers? I mean, the ones that we know of where they do have them, there are a couple of universities that have software engineering activities, but they're typically not embedded in the academic part of the university in the same way. So I think the EPCC is an example, IT Innovation might have to be as well. They're sort of almost unique things in terms of universities that don't specifically sit in the departments. But successful research projects and successful projects that have a lot of software development, successful software development projects need to assimilate researchers. It's essential that the development projects themselves, the successful ones, I think we touched on this morning in the session, about this user engagement and working the other way, the project development, software development themselves, it's very useful to have rogue, failed, or whatever you want to call them, researchers that can talk both those languages. I should touch on the point, I'll abuse my position while I'm here, that walking that fence is actually a real challenge. And you can make a career at it. I put my hand up at sort of doing this, but it's a lonely place to be. So I'm in this room probably regarded as a particle physicist by many people. In the room full of particle physicists, I'm regarded as a software developer or a computing person. And so take your own conclusions from that. Then coming back to where I first started, funders need to acknowledge that the value of software development in proposals and perhaps advise their peer review bodies. It can never take away from the focus on world-leading science as an outcome, but you want to get into a position where you move away from historical situation where we've had peer review bodies taking out the software development because it's not key to the project itself, should be able to understand the value and do that. And then finally, an action on all of us, we need to, as a software development community, to get professional and deliver products and value rather than proposing ourselves as an ongoing sustained activity in and of itself. But it's the outputs that are of value to the research community which is what sustains and bridges that gap.